that does.
All right, everyone, and I'm missing. What happened?
I'm here. Hi
I'm
there.
invisible.
Invisible.
No,
I'm the
seriously,
chamber
I
maker.
am I am invisible. You're there, but I
I know. I
am.
see myself.
The hell did I go? Books reading. Oh shit! I know why. Hello. Ha 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 ha. Ha. I, gr-
What'd you
I
do?
did the wrong background.
Nice.
Yeah, flashback from like holy crap in the past. So yeah, that background was my original one. But yeah, so welcome in everyone. Welcome, welcome. So this is the
Hello.
last time until next year that I'm going to have this background. Although depending on how things go, Sagro and I may change it up. Maybe, maybe not. Um, it depends on if we see something we like better. But
I'm here.
I hear that grumbling.
I'm the gremlin.
I said grumbling, not gremlin. You are a
I'm the
gremlin too.
gremlin.
Oh
I'm the
Lord,
gremlin.
you are such a dork.
I'm the gremlin.
Let's put you on the hearth.
I'm gonna be changing my reactive in a couple of seconds here anyway, so don't worry.
Okay, take care. Go ahead. That way I can move you properly.
I don't know. I'll just use my regular one.
You're in the fire now. It's just yeah. You're just
So
gonna.
how does that? I need to see how this sounds. Where my mic is set at right now.
Oh, what sounds?
My mic.
Well, you're coming pretty good. Like where I'm
I
at.
was. Yeah, I have the thing open. I'm just testing it.
Uh huh.
Um, because normally I have it like directly in front of me, but
Mhm.
because I've been adding to my lighter collection, it's been stretched out in front of me, and I like to look at my new fancy ones. So
Okay.
I've pushed it over to the side more, and now it's not right in front of me.
So
Because
I
like
guess
if
this
it's,
means you need to get a Ko-fi so that way some of your viewers and stuff can send you money for lighters.
I have a throne, but I need to get one of those as well.
Yes, but
But this is it in front of me,
uh huh.
and this is it just off to the side of me.
Are we supposed to be able to see it?
No, I was just saying it.
Okay.
That's the difference in the sound.
Ah.
And honestly, from sitting here listening to the stream, I don't hear that much of a difference.
Okay. Is that a good thing?
Yeah, it's a very good thing because that's exactly what I want. I don't want there to be I want the mic to stay the same.
Okay.
So I'm happy.
That's good to hear. All right, so we've got it to where Rabidash, the Prince of Tashban, is invading Archenland and is going to try to invade Narnia to get Queen Susan to be his wife, and but has been thwarted because our little his name, the protagonist, has beaten him there and has alerted everyone, so now they're on guard. Let's go ahead and. Oh, I don't know why I'm yawning. It's too early in the day for that.
What is it?
Alright. Yeah, it is. For me it is. Shush you.
No, surely not.
Just because your father is asleep right now does not mean it's not too early for me to yawn. Alright. By about 11 o'clock, the whole company was once more on the march, riding westward with the mountains on their left. Corin and Shasta rode right at the rear with the giants immediately in front of them. Lucy and Edmund and Paradine were busy with their plans for the battle, and though Lucy once said, "But where is his Goose-Cap Highness?" Edmund only replied, "Not in the front, and that's good news enough. Leave well alone." Shasta told Corin most of his adventures and explained that he had learned all his riding from a horse and didn't really know how to use the reins. Corin instructed him in this, besides telling him all about their secret sailing from Tashbaan. "And where is Queen Susan?" "At Cair Paravel," said Corin. "She's not like Lucy, you know, who's as good as a man, or, at any rate, as good as a boy. Queen Susan is more like an ordinary grown-up lady. She doesn't ride to wars, though she is an excellent archer." The hillside path which they were following became narrower all the time, and the drop on their right hand became steeper. At last they were going in single file along the edge of the precipice, and Shasta shuddered to think that he had done the same last night without knowing it. But of course, he thought, I was quite safe. That is why the lion kept on my left. He was between me and the edge all the time. Then the path went left and south, away from the cliff, and there was thick woods on both sides of it, and they went steeply up and up into the pass. There would have been a splendid view from the top if it were open ground, but along all those trees you could see nothing, only every now and then some huge pinnacle of rock above the tree tops, and an eagle or two wheeling high up in the blue air. "They smell battle," said Corin, pointing at the birds. "They know we're preparing a feed for them." Shasta didn't like this at all. When they had crossed the neck of the pass and come a good deal lower, they reached more open ground, and from here Shasta could see all Archidland, blue and hazy, spread out below him, and even, he thought, a hint of the desert beyond it. But the sun, which had perhaps 2 hours or so to go before it set, was in his eyes, and he couldn't make things out distinctly. Here the army halted and spread out in a line, and there was a great deal of rearranging. A whole detachment of very dangerous-looking talking beasts, whom Shasta had not noticed before, and who were mostly of the cat kind, leopards, panthers, and the like, went padding and growling to take up their positions on the left. The giants were ordered to the right, and before going there they took off something they had been carrying on their backs and sat down for a moment. Then Shasta saw what they had been carrying and were now putting on were pairs of boots, horrid, heavy, spiked boots, which came up to their knees. When they sloped their huge clubs over their shoulders and marched to their battle position, the archers and Queen Lucy fell to the rear, and you could first see them bending their bows and then hearing the twang twang as they tested the strings. And wherever you looked, you could see people tightening girths, putting on helmets, drawing swords, and throwing cloaks to the ground. I'm sorry, that just made me think of Edna, no capes. There was hardly any talking now. It was very solemn and very dreadful. I'm in for it now. I'm really in for it now, thought Shasta. Then there came noises far ahead, the sound of many men shouting, and the steady thud, thud, thud. "Battering ram," whispered Corin. "They're battering the gate." Even Corin looked quite serious now. "Why doesn't King Edmund get on?" he said. "I can't stand this waiting about. Chilly, too." Shasta nodded, hoping he didn't look as frightened as he felt. The trumpet at last. On the move now, now trotting, the banners streaming out in the wind. They had topped a low ridge now, and below them the whole scene suddenly opened out. A little many-towered castle with its gate toward them. No moat, unfortunately, but of course the gate shut and the portcullis down. On the walls they could see, like little white dots, the faces of the defenders. Down below, about 50 of the colormains dismounted and were steadily swinging a great tree trunk against the gate. But at once the scene changed. The main bulk of Rabadash's men had been on foot ready to assault the gate, but now he had seen the Narnians sweeping down from the ridge. There is no doubt these colormains are wonderfully trained. It seemed to Shasta only a second before, A whole line of the enemy were on horseback again, wheeling round to meet them, swinging toward them. And now a gallop. The ground between the two armies grew less every moment. Faster, faster. All swords out now, all shields up to the nose, all prayers said, all teeth clenched. Shasta was dreadfully frightened. But it suddenly came into his head. If you funk this, you'll funk every battle all your life. Now or never. But when at last the two lines met, he had really very little idea of what happened. There was a frightful confusion and an appalling noise. His sword was knocked clean out of his hand pretty soon, and he'd gotten the reins tangled somehow. Then he found himself slipping. Then a spear came straight at him, and as he ducked to avoid it, he rolled right off his horse, bashed his left knuckles terribly against someone else's armor, and then— But it is no use trying to describe the battle from Shasta's point of view. He understood too little of the fight in general, and even of his own part in it. The best I can tell you what really happened is to take you some miles away to where the hermit of the southern march sat gazing into the smooth pool beneath the spreading tree, with Bree and Hwin and Aravis beside him. For it was in this pool that the hermit looked when he wanted to know what was going on in the world outside the green walls of his hermitage. There, as in a mirror, he could see at certain times what was going on in the streets and cities far farther south than Tashban, or what ships were putting into Red Haven in the remote Seven Isles, or what robbers or wild beasts stirring in the great western forests between Lantern Waste and Telmar. And all this day he had hardly left his pool, even to eat or drink, for he knew that great events were afoot in Archenland. Aravis and the horses gazed into it too. They could see that it was a magic pool. Instead of reflecting the tree and the sky, it revealed cloudy and colored shapes moving, always moving, in its depths. But they could see nothing clearly. The hermit could, and from time to time he told them what he saw. A little while before Shasta rode into his first battle, the hermit had begun speaking like this. I see one, two, three eagles wheeling in the gap by Stormness Head. One is the oldest of all the eagles. He would not be out unless battle was at hand. I see him wheel to and fro, peering down sometimes at Anvard and sometimes to the east, behind Stormness. Ah, I see now that Rabadash and his men have been so busy at all day. They have felled and lopped a great tree, and they are now coming out of the woods, carrying it as a ram. They have learned something from the failure of last night's assault. He would have been wiser if he had set his men to making ladders, but it takes too long, and he is impatient. Fool that he is. He ought to have ridden back to Tashban as soon as the first attack failed, for his whole plan depended on speed and surprise. Now they are bringing their ram into position. King Loon's men are shooting hard from the walls. 5 colormans have fallen, but not many well. They have their shields above their heads. Rabadash is giving his orders now. With him are his most trusted lords, fierce Tarkans from the eastern provinces. I can see their faces. There is Corridon of Castle Tormont, and Azuro, and Klamash, and Ilgamoth of the Twisted Lip, and a tall Tarkan with a crimson beard. By the main, my old master, Anradin, said Bree. Shh, said Aravas. Now the ram has started. If I could hear as well as see, what a noise that would make. Stroke after stroke, and no gate can stand it forever. But wait, something up by the Stormness has scared the birds. They're coming out in masses. And wait again. I can't see yet. Ah, now I can. The whole ridge up on the east is black with horsemen. If only the wind could catch that standard and spread it out. They're over the ridge now, whoever they are. Aha! I've seen that banner now. Narnia, Narnia. It's the Red Lion. They're in full career down the hill now. I can see King Edmund. There's a woman behind among the archers. Oh, what is it? Asked Hwin breathlessly. All his cats are dashing out from the left of the line. Cats? Said Aravis. Great cats, leopards and such, said the hermit impatiently. I see, I see. The cats are coming round in a circle to get at the horses of the dismounted men. A good stroke. The Colormene horses are bad with terror already. Now the cats are in among them. But Rabadash has reinforced his line and has 100 men in the saddle. They're riding to meet the Narnians. There's only 100 yards between the two lines now. Only 50. I can see King Edmund. I can see the Lord Peridon. There are two mere children in the Narnian line. What can the king be about to let them into battle? Only 10 yards. The lines have met. The giants on the Narnian right are doing wonders, but one's down. Shot through the eye, I suppose. The center's all in a muddle. I can see more on the left. There are the two boys again. Lion alive. One is Prince Corin. The other, like him, as two peas. It's your little Shasta. Corin is fighting like a man. He's killed a Colormene. I can see a bit of the center now. Rabadash and Edmund almost met then, but the press has separated them. What about Shasta? Said Aravis. Oh, the fool, groaned the hermit. Poor, brave little fool. He knows nothing about his work. He's making no use at all of his shield. His whole side's exposed. He hasn't the faintest idea what to do with his sword. He hasn't. Oh, he's remembered it now. He's waving it wildly about. Nearly cut his own pony's head off, and he will in a moment if he's not careful. It's been knocked out of his hand now. It's mere murder sending a child into battle. He can't live 5 minutes. Duck, you fool. Oh, he's down. Killed? Said the three voices breathlessly. How can I tell? Said the hermit. The cats have done their work. All their riderless horses are dead or escaped now. No retreat for the Colormenes on them. Now the cats are turning back into the main battle. They're leaping on the ram's men. The ram is down. Oh, good, good. The gates are opening from the inside. There's going to be a sortie. The first three are out. It's King Lune in the middle. The brothers Dar and Darin on either side of him. Behind them are Tran and Shar and Cole with his brother Colin. There are 10, 20, nearly 30 of them out by now. The Colormene line is being forced back upon them. King Edmund is dealing marvelous strokes. He's just slashed Corridon's head off. Lots of Colormenes have thrown down their arms and are running for the woods. Those that remain are hard pressed. The giants are closing in on the right. Cats on the left. King Lune from the rear. The Colormenes are a little knot now, fighting back to back. Your Tarkan's down, Bree. Lune and Azro are fighting hand to hand. The king looks like winning. The king is keeping it up well. The king has won. Azro's down. King Edmund's down. No, he's up again. He's at it with Rabadash. They're fighting in the very gate of the castle. Several Colormenes have surrendered. Darin has killed Ilgamuth. I can't see what's happened to Rabadash. I think he's dead, leaning against the castle wall, but I don't know. Chalamash and King Edmund are still fighting, but the battle is over everywhere else. Chalamash has surrendered. The battle is over. The Colormenes are utterly defeated. When Shasta fell off his horse, he gave himself up for lost. But the horses, even in battle, tread on human beings very much less than you would suppose. After a very horrible 10 minutes or so, Shasta realized suddenly that there were no longer any horses stamping about in the immediate neighborhood, and that the noise, for there was still a good many noises going on, was no longer that of a battle. He sat up and stared about him. Even he, little as he knew of battles, could see that the Archenlanders and Narnians had won. The only living Colormenes he could see were prisoners. The castle gates were wide open, and King Lune and King Edmund were shaking hands across the battering ram. From the circle of lords and warriors around them there arose sound of breathless and excited, but obviously cheerful conversation. And then suddenly it all united and swelled into a great roar of laughter. Shasta picked himself up, feeling uncommonly stiff, and ran toward the sound to see what the joke was. A very curious sight met his eye. The unfortunate Rabadash appeared to be suspended from the castle walls. His feet were about 2 feet from the ground, and were kicking wildly. His chain shirt was somehow hitched up so that it was horribly tight under the arms, and came halfway over his face. In fact, he looked just like a man if you catch him in the very act of getting into a stiff shirt that is a little too small for him. As far as it could be made out afterward, and you may be sure the story was well talked over for many a day, what happened was something like this. Early in the battle, one of the giants had made an unsuccessful stamp at Rabadash with his spiked boot. Unsuccessful because it didn't crush Rabadash, which is what the giant had intended, but not quite useless because one of the spikes tore the chainmail, just as you or I might tear an ordinary shirt. So Rabadash, by the time he encountered Edmund at the gate, had a hole in the back of his hauberk, and when Edmund pressed him back nearer and nearer to the wall, he jumped up on a mounting block and stood there raining down blows on Edmund from above. But then, finding that this position, by raising him above the heads of everyone else, made him a mark for every arrow from the Narnian bows, he decided to jump down again, and he meant to look and sound, no doubt for a moment he did look and sound, very grand and very dreadful as he jumped, crying, "The bolt of Tash falls from above." But he had to jump sideways, because the crowd in front of him left him no landing place in the direction. And then, in the neatest way you could wish, the tear in the back of his hauberk caught on a hook in the wall. Ages ago the hook had a ring on it for tying horses to. And there he found himself, like a piece of washing hung up to dry, with everyone laughing at him. "Let me down, Edmund," howled Rabadash. "Let me down and fight me, like a king and a man. Or, if you're too great a coward to do that, kill me at once." "Certainly," began King Edmund, but King Lune interrupted. "By your Majesty's good leave," said King Lune to Edmund, "not so." Then turning to Rabadash, he said, "Your Royal Highness, if you had given that challenge a week ago, I'll answer for it there was no one in King Edmund's dominion, from the High King down to the smallest talking mouse, who would have refused it. But, by attacking our castle on Onvard in time of peace, without defiance sent, you have proven yourself no knight, but a traitor, and one rather to be whipped by the hangman than to be suffered to cross swords with any person of honor. Take him down, bind him, and carry him within till our pleasure is farther known." Strong hands wrenched Rabadon's sword from him, and he was carried away into the castle, shouting, threatening, cursing, and even crying, for he thought he would have faced torture he couldn't bear being made ridiculous. In Tashbaan, everyone had always taken him seriously. At that moment, Corin ran up to Shasta, seized his hand, and started dragging him toward King Lune. "Here he is, father, here he is," cried Corin. "Ay, and here thou art, at last," said the king in a very gruff voice, "and hast been in the battle, clean contrary to your obedience. A boy to break a father's heart. At your age, a rod to your breech were fitter than a sword in your fist. Ha!" But everyone, including Corin, could see that the king was very proud of him. "Chide him no more, sire, if it please you," said Lord Darren. "His Highness would not be your son if he did not inherit your conditions. It would grieve your Majesty more if he had to be reproved for the opposite fault." "Well, well," grumbled the king, We'll pass it over for this time. And now, what came next surprised Shasta as much as anything that had ever happened to him in his life. He found himself suddenly embraced in a bear-like hug by King Loon and kissed on both cheeks. Then the king set him down again and said, "Stand here together, boys, and let all the court see you. Hold up your heads. Now, gentlemen, look on them both. Has any man any doubts?" And still Shasta could not understand why everyone was staring at him and Corin, nor what all the cheering was about. We must now return to Erebus and the horses. The hermit, watching his pool, was able to tell them that Shasta was not killed, or even seriously wounded, for he saw him get up and saw how affectionately he was greeted by King Loon. But as he could only see, not hear, he did not know what anyone was saying, and, once the fighting had stopped and the talking had begun, it was not worth while looking in the pool any longer. Next morning, while the hermit was indoors, the three of them discussed what they should do next. "I've had enough of this," said Hwin. "The hermit has been very good to us, and I'm very much obliged to him, I'm sure, but I'm getting as fat as a pet pony, eating all day and getting no exercise. Let's go on to Narnia." "Oh, not today, madam," said Bree. "I wouldn't hurry things. Some other day, don't you think? We must see Shasta first, and say good-bye to him, and apologize," said Erebus. "Exactly," said Bree, with great enthusiasm. "Just what I was going to say." "Oh, of course," said Hwin. "I expect he is in Onvard. Naturally, we'd look in on him and say good-bye. But that's on our way, and why shouldn't we start at once? After all, I thought it was Narnia we all wanted to get to." "I suppose so," said Erebus. She was beginning to wonder what exactly she would do when she got there, and was feeling a little lonely. Of course," said Bree hastily, but there was no need to rush things, if you know what I mean." "No, I don't know what you mean," said Hwin. "Why don't you want to go?" Bree whinnied. "Well, don't you see, madam? It's an important occasion, returning to one's country, entering society, the best society. It is so essential to make a good impression. Not perhaps looking quite ourselves yet, eh?" Wynne broke into a hoarse laugh. "It's your tail, Bree. I see it all now. You want to wait till your tail's grown again. And we don't even know if tails are worn long in Narnia. Really, Bree, you're as vain as that Tarkina in Tashbaan." "You are silly, Bree," said Erebus. "By the lion's mane, Tarkina, I'm nothing of the sort," said Bree indignantly. "I have a proper respect for myself and for my fellow horses. That's all." "Bree," said Erebus, who was not very interested in the cut of his tail, "I've been wanting to ask you something for a long time. Why do you keep on swearing 'by the lion' and 'by the lion's mane'? I thought you hated lions." "Misquits. All right, guys, give me a second. I need to go touch grass." "Okay, I have touched grass. Welcome in, Misquits." "So I do," answered Bree. But when I speak of the lion, of course I mean Aslan, the great deliverer of Narnia who drove away the witch and the winter. All Narnians swear by him. But is he a lion? No, no, of course not, said Bree in a rather shocked voice. All the stories about him in Tashbaan say he is, replied Aravis. And if he isn't a lion, why do you call him a lion? Well, you'd hardly understand that at your age, said Bree. And I was only a little foal when I left, so I don't quite fully understand it myself. Bree was standing with his back to the green wall while he said this, and the other two were facing him. He was talking in rather a superior tone, with his eyes half shut. That was why he didn't see the changed expressions on the faces of Hwin and Aravis. They had good reason to have open mouths and staring eyes, because while Bree spoke, they saw an enormous lion leap up from the outside and balance itself on the top of the green wall. Only it was a brighter yellow, and it was bigger and more beautiful and more alarming than any lion they had ever seen. And at once it jumped down inside the wall and began approaching Bree from behind. It made no noise at all, and Hwin and Aravis couldn't make any noise themselves, no more than if they were frozen. No doubt, continued Bree, when they speak of him as a lion, they only mean he's as strong as a lion, or, to our enemies, of course, as fierce as a lion, or something of that kind. Even a little girl like you, Aravis, must see that it would be quite absurd to suppose he is a real lion. Indeed, it would be disrespectful. If he was a lion, he'd have to be a beast, just like the rest of us. Why, and here Bree began to laugh, if he was a lion, he'd have 4 paws and a tail, and whiskers. Oh, hoo hoo! Help! For just when he said the word whiskers, one of Aslan's had actually tickled his ear. Bree shot away like an arrow to the other side of the enclosure, and then turned. The wall was too high for him to jump, and he could fly no further. Aravis and Hwin both started back. There was about a second of intense silence. Then Hwin, though shaking all over, gave a strange little neigh, and trotted across to the lion. Please, she said, you are so beautiful. You may eat me if you like. I'd sooner be eaten by you than fed by someone else. Dearest daughter, said Aslan, planting a lion's kiss on her twitching velvet nose, I knew you would not be long in coming to me. Joy shall be yours. Then he lifted his head and spoke in a louder voice. Now, Bree, he said, you poor, proud, frightened horse, draw near. Nearer still, my son. Do not dare, do not dare. Touch me, smell me. Here are my paws. Here is my tail. These are my whiskers. I am a true beast. Aslan, said Bree in a shaken voice, I'm afraid I must be rather a fool. Happy the horse who knows that while he is still young, or the human either. Draw near, Aravis, my daughter. See, my paws are velveted. You will not be torn this time. This time, sir? Said Aravis. It was I who wounded you, said Aslan. I am the only lion you met in all your journeyings. Do you know why I tore you? No, sir. The scratches on your back, tear for tear, throb for throb, blood for blood, were equal to the stripes laid on the back of your stepmother's slave because of the drugged sleep you cast upon her. You needed to know what it felt like. Oh, please, yes, sir, please. Ask on, my dear, said Aslan. Will any more harm come to her by what I did? Child, said the lion, I am telling you your story, not hers. No one is told any story but their own. Then he shook his head and spoke in a lighter voice. Be merry, little ones, he said. We shall meet again soon. But before that, you will have another visitor. Then in one bound he reached the top of the wall and vanished from their sight. Strange to say, they felt no inclination to talk to one another about him after he had gone. They all moved slowly away to different parts of the quiet grass, and there paced to and fro, each alone, thinking. About half an hour later, the two horses were summoned to the back of the house to eat something nice that the hermit had got ready for them, and Aravis, still walking and thinking, was startled by the harsh sound of a trumpet outside the gate. "Who is there?" asked Aravis. "His Royal Highness Prince Cor of Archenland," said a voice from outside. Aravis undid the door and opened it, drawing back a little way to let the strangers in. Two soldiers with halberds came first and took their stand on each side of the entry. Then followed a herald and the trumpeter. "His Royal Highness Prince Cor of Archenland desires an audience with Lady Aravis," said the herald. Then he and the trumpeter drew aside and bowed, and the soldiers saluted, and the prince himself came in. All his attendants withdrew and closed the gate behind them. The prince bowed, and a very clumsy bow for a prince it was. Aravis curtsied in the Colormene style, which is not at all like ours, and did it very well because, of course, she had been taught how. Then the prince looked up and saw what sort of person, and then she looked up and saw what sort of person the prince was. She saw a mere boy. He was barehanded, he was bareheaded, and his fair hair was encircled with a very thin band of gold, hardly thicker than a wire. His upper tunic was of white cambric, as fine as a handkerchief, so that the bright red tunic beneath it showed through. His left hand, which rested on the enamelled sword hilt, was bandaged. Aravis looked twice at his face before she gasped and said, "Why, it's Shasta!" Shasta all at once turned very red and began speaking very quickly. "Look here, Aravis," he said, "I do hope you won't think I got up like this, and the trumpeter and all, to try to impress you or make out that I'm different, or any rot of that sort, because I'd far rather have come in my old clothes. But they're burnt now, and my father said—" "Your father?" said Aravis. "Apparently King Loon is my father," said Shasta. "I might really have guessed it, Corin being so like me. We were twins, you see. Oh, and my name isn't Shasta. It's Cor." "Cor is a nicer name than Shasta," said Aravis. "Brothers' names run like that in Archenland," said Shasta, "or Prince Cor, as we must now call him, like Dar and Darin, Cole and Colin, and so on." "Shasta, I mean Cor," said Aravis. "No, shut up. There's something I've got to say at once. I'm sorry I've been such a pig, but I did change before I knew you were a prince. Honestly, I did, when you went back and faced the lion. It wasn't really going to kill you at all, that lion," said Cor. "I know," said Aravis, nodding. Both were still and solemn for a moment as each saw that the other knew about Aslan. Suddenly Aravis remembered Cor's bandaged hand. "I say," she cried, "I forgot. You've been in a battle. Is that a wound?" "A mere scratch," said Cor, using for the first time a rather lordly tone. But a moment later he burst out laughing and said, "If you want to know the truth, it isn't a proper wound at all. I only took the skin off my knuckles, just as any clumsy fool might do without going near a battle." "Still, you were in the battle," said Aravis. "It must have been wonderful." "It wasn't like that, or it wasn't like what I thought," said Cor. "But Cor, I mean, you haven't told me anything yet about King Loon, and how he found out who you were." "Well, let's sit down," said Cor, "for it's rather a long story. And by the way, father's an absolute brick. I'd just be as pleased, or very nearly, at finding he's my father, even if he weren't a king. Even though education and all sorts of horrible things are going to happen to me. But you want the story. Well, Corin and I are twins, and about a week after we were both born, apparently, they took us to a wise old centaur in Narnia to be blessed or something. Now, this centaur was a prophet, and as good many centaurs are. Perhaps you haven't seen any centaurs yet. There are some in the battle yesterday. Most remarkable people, but I can't say I feel quite at home with them yet. I say, Aravis, there are going to be a lot of things to get used to in these northern countries." Yes, there are, said Aravis. But get on with the story. Well, as soon as he saw Corin and me, it seemed this centaur looked at me and said, "A day will come when that boy will save Archenland from the deadliest danger in which ever she lay." So of course my father and mother were very pleased. But there was someone present who wasn't. This was a chap called Lord Barr, who had been father's Lord Chancellor, and apparently he'd done something wrong, bezzling or some word like that. I didn't understand that part very well, and father had to dismiss him, but nothing else was done to him, and he was allowed to go on living in Archenland. But he must have been as bad as he could be, for it came out afterward that he had been in the pay of the Tisroc and had sent a lot of secret information to Tashbaan. So as soon as he heard I was going to save Archenland from a great danger, he decided I must be put out of the way. Well, he succeeded in kidnapping me, I don't exactly know how, and rode away down the winding Arrow to the coast. He'd had everything prepared, and there was a ship manned with his own followers, lying ready for him, and he put out to sea with me on board. But father got wind of it, though not quite in time, and was after him as quickly as he could. The Lord Barr was already at sea when father reached the coast, but not out of sight, and father was embarked in one of his own warships within 20 minutes. It must have been a wonderful chase. They were 6 days following Barr's galleon, and brought her to battle on the seventh. It was a great sea fight. I heard a lot about it yesterday evening, from 10 o'clock in the morning till sunset. Our people took the ship in the end, but I wasn't there. The Lord Bard himself had been killed in the battle, but one of his men said that, early in the morning, as soon as he saw he was certain to be overhauled, Barr had given me to one of his knights, and sent us both away in the ship's boat. And that boat was never seen again. But of course, that was the same boat that Aslan, he seemed to be at the back of all the stories, pushed ashore at the right place for Arshish to pick me up. I wish I knew that knight's name, for he must have kept me alive and starved himself to do it. I suppose Aslan would say that part of someone else's story, said Aravis. I was forgetting that, said Cor. And I wonder how the prophecy would work out, said Aravis, and what the great danger is that you are to save Archenland from. Well, said Cora rather awkwardly, they seem to think I've done that already. Iris clapped her hands. Why, of course, she said. How stupid I am. And how wonderful. Archenland can never be in much greater danger than it was when Rabadash had crossed the Arrow with his 200 horse, and you hadn't yet got through with your message. Don't you feel proud? I think I feel a bit scared, said Cor. And you'll be living in Arnvard now, said Aravis rather wistfully. Oh, said Cor, I'd nearly forgotten what I came about. Father wants you to come and live with us. He said there's been no lady in the court. They call it the court. I don't know why. Since mother died. Do, Aravis. You'll like father. And Karn. They're not like me. They've been properly brought up. You needn't be afraid that. Oh, stop it, said Aravis, or we'll have a real fight. Of course I'll come. Now, let's go see the horses, said Cor. There was a great and joyous meeting between Bree and Cor, and Bree, who was still in a rather subdued frame of mind, agreed to set out for Anvard at once. He and Hwin would cross into Narnia on the following day. All four bade an affectionate farewell to the hermit, and promised that they would visit him again soon. By about the middle of the morning they were on their way. The horses had expected that Aravis and Cor would ride, but Cor explained that except in war, where everyone must do what he can do best, no one in Narnia or Archenland ever dreamed of mounting a talking horse. This reminded poor Bree again of how little he knew about Narnian customs, and what dreadful mistakes he might make. So while Hwin strolled along in a happy daydream, Bree got more nervous and more self-conscious with every step he took. Buck up, Bree, said Cor. It's far worse for me than for you. You aren't going to be educated. I shall be learning reading and writing and heraldry and dancing and history and music, Well, you'll be galloping and rolling on the hills of Narnia to your heart's content. But that's just the point, groaned Bree. Do talking horses roll? Suppose they don't. I can't bear to give it up. What do you think, Win? I'm going to roll anyways, said Win. I don't suppose any of them will care 2 lumps of sugar whether you roll or not. Are we near that castle? Said Bree to Cor. Round the next bend, said the prince. Well, said Bree, I'm going to have one good now. It may be the last. Wait for me a minute. It was 5 minutes before he rose again, blowing hard and covered with bits of bracken. Now I'm ready, he said in a voice of profound gloom. Lead on, Prince Cor. Narnia and the North. But he looked more like a horse going to a funeral than a long-lost captive returning to home and freedom. And the next turn of the road brought them out from among the trees, and there, across green lawns, sheltered from the north wind by the high wooded ridge at its back, they saw the castle of Onvard. It was very old and built of warm, reddish-brown stone. Before they had reached the gate, King Loon came out to meet them, not looking at all like Arabes's idea of a king and wearing the oldest of old clothes, for he had just come from making a round of the kennels with his huntsman and had only stopped for a moment to wash his doggy hands. But the bow with which he greeted Arabes as he took her hand would have been stately enough for an emperor. Little lady, he said, we bid you very heartily welcome. If my dear wife were still alive, we could make you better cheer, but could not do it with a better will. And I am sorry that you have had misfortunes, and have been driven from your father's house, which cannot but be a grief to you. My son Cor has told me of your adventures together, and all your valor. Hey, Matsu, how's it going? It was he who did all that, sir, said Erebus. Why, he rushed at a lion to save me. Eh, what's that? Said King Loon, his face brightening. I haven't heard that part of the story. Then Erebus told it, and Cor, who had very much wanted the story to be known, thought he felt he couldn't tell it himself. Didn't enjoy it so much as he had expected, and indeed felt rather foolish. But his father enjoyed it very much indeed, and in the course of the next few weeks told it to so many people that Cor wished it had never happened. Then the king turned to Hwen and Bree, and was just as polite to them as to Aravis, and asked them a lot of questions about their families and where they lived in Narnia before they had been captured. The horses were rather tongue-tied, for they weren't yet used to being talked to as equals by humans, grown-up humans, that is. They didn't mind Aravis and Cor. Presently Queen Lucy came out of the castle and joined them, and King Loon said to Aravis, my dear, here is a loving friend of our house, and she has been seeing that your apartments are put to rights for you better than I could have done it. You'd like to come and see them, wouldn't you? Said Lucy, kissing Aravis. They liked each other at once, and soon went away together to talk about Aravis's bedroom and Aravis's boudoir, and about getting clothes for her, and all the sort of things girls talk about on such an occasion. After lunch, which they had on the terrace, it was cold birds and cold game pie and wine and bread and cheese. King Loon ruffled up his brow and heaved a sigh and said, Hi ho, we have still the sorry creature Rabadash on our hands. My friends, we must needs resolve what to do with him. Lucy was sitting on the right hand and Aravis on his left. King Edmund sat at one end of the table, and the Lord Darren faced him at the other. Dar and Peridun and Cor and Corin were on the same side as the king. Your Majesty would have a perfect right to strike off his head, said Peridun. Such an assault as he made puts him on a level with assassins. It is very true, said Edmund, but even a traitor may mend. I have known one that did, and he looked very thoughtful. To kill this Rabadash would go near raising war with the Tisroc, said Darren. A fig for the Tisroc, said King Loon. His strength is in numbers, and numbers will never cross the desert. But I have no stomach for killing men, even traitors, in cold blood. Thank you, Tank, for the vibe check. To have his throat, or to have cut his throat in the battle, would have eased my heart mightily, but that is a different thing. By my counsel, said Lucy, your majesty shall give him another trial. Let him go free on straight promise of fair dealing in the future. It may be that he will keep his word. May apes' will grow honest, sister, said Edmund, but, by the lion, if he breaks it again, may it be in such time and place that any of us could swap off his head in clean battle. It shall be tried, said the king, and then to one of the attendants, send for the prisoner, friend. Rabadash was brought before them in chains. To look at him, anyone would have supposed that he had passed the night in a noisome dungeon without food or water, but in reality he had been shut up in quite a comfortable room and provided with an excellent supper. But as he was sulking far too furiously to touch the supper, and had spent the whole night stamping and roaring and cursing, he naturally did not now look his best. Your Royal Highness needs not to be told, said King Loon, that by the law of nations, as well as by all reasons of prudent policy, we have as good right to your head as even every one mortal man had against another. Nevertheless, in consideration of your youth and the ill nature, devoid of all gentleness and courtesy, which you have doubtless had in the land of slaves and tyrants, we are disposed to set you free, unharmed, on these conditions. First, that curse you for a barbarian dog, sputtered Rabadash. Do you think I will ever hear your conditions? Faugh! You talk very largely of nurture, and I know not what. It's easy to a man in chains. Ha! Take off these vile bonds, give me a sword, and let any of you who dares then debate with me. Nearly all the lords sprang to their feet, and Corin shouted, Father, can I box him, please? Peace, your majesty. My lords, said King Loon, have we no more gravity among us than to be so chafed by the taunt of a pajak? Sit down, Corin, or shalt leave the table. I ask your highness again to hear our conditions. I hear no conditions from barbarians and sorcerers, said Rabadash. Not one of you dare touch a hair on my head. Every insult you have heaped on me shall be paid with oceans of Narnian and Archlandish blood. Terrible shall be the vengeance of the Tisroc Bee, even now, but kill me, and the burnings and torturing of these northern lands shall become a tale to frighten the world 1,000 years hence. Beware, beware, beware! The bolt of Tash falls from above. Does it ever get caught on a hook halfway? Asked Corin. Shame, Corin, said the king. Never taunt a man save when he is stronger than you. Then, as you please. Oh, you foolish Rabadash, sighed Lucy. The next moment, Cor wondered why everyone at the table had risen and was standing perfectly still. Of course, he did the same. And then he saw the reason. Aslan was among them, though no one had seen him coming. Rabadash started at the immense shape of the lion paced softly in between him and his accusers. Rabadash, said Aslan, take heed. Your doom is very near, but you may still avoid it. Forget your pride, which you have been so proud of, and your anger. Who has done you wrong? And accept the mercy of these good kings. Then Rabadash rolled his eyes and spread out his mouth into a horrible, long, mirthless grin, like a shark, and wagged his ears up and down. Anyone can learn to do this if they take the trouble. He had always found this very effective in Calormene. The bravest had trembled when he made these faces, and ordinary people had fallen to the floor, and sensible people had often fainted. But what Rabadash hadn't realized is that this is very easy to frighten people who know you can have them boiled alive the moment you give the word. Their grimaces didn't look at all alarming in Archenland. Indeed, Lucy only thought Rabidash was going to be sick. Demon, 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 shrieked the prince. I know you. You are the foul fiend of Narnia. You are the enemy of the gods. Learn who I am, horrible phantasm. I am descended from Tash, the inexorable, the irresistible. The curse of Tash is upon you. Lightning in the shape of scorpions shall be rained on you. The mountains of Narnia shall be ground to dust. The Have a care, Rabidash, said Aslan quietly. The doom is nearer now. It is at the door. It has lifted the latch. Let the skies fall, shrieked Rabidash. Let the earth gape. Let blood and fire obliterate the world. But be sure I will never desist, till I have dragged to my palace by her hair the barbarian queen, the daughter of dogs, The hour has struck, said Aslan, and Rabidash saw, to his supreme horror, that everyone had begun to laugh. They couldn't help it. Rabidash had been wagging his ears all the time, and as soon as Aslan said, "The hour has struck," the ears began to change. They grew longer and more pointed, and soon they were covered with gray hair. Oh my god. Okay, give me a hot second while I go touch grass. Your booger.
I may be a bugger, but you love me.
And it doesn't even look like Steve is peeking in on chat though. Are you one of my mods?
No, I'm
Give your
on for like two people. That's it.
three now. Give your points from Steve
What?
back to yourself while I go touch
Oh,
grass.
jeez. Fine. Give your point self back. Give your points back to yourself.
You gotta redeem the points for touch grass though.
Yeah. Complete all of those. There you go.
Okay. I don't know why Steve is not.
Meh. I didn't. I don't mind.
I don't know if I deleted that one or not. I'll have to figure it out. Actually no, he's there. So let me see. Autoclee, Minecraft, Newt. Oh yeah, so he's not even there right now. So I'm gonna have to.
Disable it for now.
Yeah, because all I have right now that's actually gonna work is Potadoo, Klee Coffin Dance, Minecraft Death, and Newt. I don't even know if I
Good to
have
know.
Klee Coffin Dance up there. Potadoo, Greer Cringe, that one isn't there anymore. Steve Peaks in chat has to be taken off. Potadoo. Yeah, I have to go redo this stuff. I'm sorry, guys. So, if you guys do the only one that's going to work right now is Potadoo, so your points will
Mm-hmm.
be redeemed or be returned if you do anything else at the moment. I have to go fix stuff later, but yeah. I'd figure out where I was. Oh, uh, and while everyone was wondering where they had seen ears like that before, Rabadash's face began to change too. It grew longer and thicker at the top, and larger eyed, and a nose sank back into the face, or else the face swelled out and became all nose, and there were hair all over it, and his arms grew longer and came down in front of him, till his hands were resting on the ground. Only they weren't hands now, they were hooves. And he was standing on all fours, and his clothes disappeared, and everyone laughed louder and louder, because they couldn't help it, for now what had been Rabadash was, simply and unmistakably, an ass. It says donkey, but I'm saying ass. The terrible thing was that his human speech lasted just a moment longer than his human shape, so that when he realized the change was coming over him, he screamed out, "Oh, not a donkey! Mercy! If it were even a horse!" And then he starts neighing and stuff. And so the words died away into a donkey's bray. "Now hear me, Rabadash," said Aslan. justice shall be mixed with mercy. You shall not always be an ass." At this, of course, the donkey twitched its ears forward, so and that was also funny, and everyone laughed all the more. They tried not to, but they tried in vain. "You have appealed to Tash," said Aslan, "and in the temple of Tash you shall be healed. You must stand before the altar of Tash in Tashban at the great autumn feast this year, and there, in the sight of all of Tashban, your ass's shape will fall from you, and all men will know you for Prince Rabadash. But as long as you live, if ever you go more than 10 miles away from the great temple in Tashban, you shall instantly become again as you are now. And from that second change there will be no return." There was a short silence, and they all stirred and looked at one another, as if they were waking from a sleep. Aslan was gone, but there was a brightness in the air and on the grass, and a joy in their hearts, which assured them that he had been no dream. And anyway, there was the donkey in front of them. King Loon was the kindest hearted of men, and on seeing his enemy in this regrettable condition, he forgot all his anger. "Your Royal Highness," he said, "I am most truly sorry that things have come to this extremity. Your Highness will bear witness that it was none of our doing, and of course we shall be delighted to provide your Highness with shipping back to Tashban for the treatment which Aslan has prescribed. You shall have every comfort which your Highness's situation allows, the best of the cattle boats, the freshest carrots and thistles." But a deafening bray from the donkey, and a well-aimed kick at one of the guards, made it clear that these kindly offers were ungratefully received. And here, to get him out of the way, I'd better finish off the story of Rabadash. He, or it, was brought duly back by boat to Tashban, and brought into the temple of Tash at the great autumn festival, and then he became a man again. But of course 4 or 5 thousand people had seen the transformation, and the affair could not possibly be hushed up. And after the old Tisroc's death, when Rabadash became Tisroc in his place, he turned out the most peaceable Tisroc colorman had ever known. This was because, not daring to go more than 10 miles from Tashban, he could never go on a war himself, and he didn't want the Tarkans to win fame in the wars at his expense, for that is the way Tisrocs get overthrown. But though his reasons were selfish, it made things much more comfortable for all the smaller countries around Cullerman. His own people never forgot that he had been a donkey. During his reign, and to his face, he was called Rabadash the Peacemaker, but after his death and behind his back, he was called Rabadash the Ridiculous. And if you look him up in a good history of Cullerman, try the local library, you will find him under that name, and to this day, in Cullerman schools, if you do anything unusually stupid, you are likely to be called a second Rabadash. Meanwhile, at Anvard, everyone was very glad that he had been disposed of before the real fun began, which was a grand feast held that evening on the lawn before the castle, with dozens of lanterns to help the moonlight. And the wine flowed, and tales were told, and jokes were cracked, and then silence was made, but the king's poet with 2 fiddlers stepped out into the middle of the circle. Aravis and Cor prepared themselves to be bored, for the only poetry they knew was the Cullermine kind, and you know now what that was like. But at the very first scrape of the fiddles, a rocket seemed to go up inside their heads, and the poet sang of the great old lay of fair Ulvin, and how he fought the great pyre, and turned him into stone. And that is the origin of Mount Pyre. It was the 2-headed giant, and won the Lady Lym for his bride. And when it was over, they wished it was going to begin again. And though Bree couldn't sing, he told the story of the fight at Zalindre, and Lucy told again. They had all, except Aravis and Cor, heard it many times, but they all wanted it again. The tale of the wardrobe, and how she and King Edmund and Queen Susan and Peter the High King had first come to Narnia. And presently, as was certain to happen sooner or later, King Loon said it was time for young people to be in bed. And tomorrow, Cor, he added, shalt come over all the castle with me, and see the estate, and mark all its strength and weakness, for it will be thine to guard when I'm gone. But Corin will be king then, father, said Cor. Nay, lad, said King Loon, thou art my heir. The crown comes to thee. But I don't want it, said Cor. I'd far rather. 'Tis no question what thou wantest, Cor, nor I either. 'Tis the course of law. But if we're twins, we must be the same age. Nay, said the king with a laugh, one must come first. Art Corin's elder by a full 20 minutes, and his better too, let's hope, though that's no great mastery. And he looked at Corin with a twinkle in his eye. But father, couldn't you make whichever you like to be the next king? No, the king's under the law, for it's the law makes him a king. Hast no more power to start away from thy crown than any sentry from his poet. Oh dear, said Cor, I don't want to at all. And Corin, I am most dreadfully sorry. I never dreamed my turning up was going to chisel you out of your kingdom. Hurrah, hurrah, said Corin. I shan't have to be a king. I shan't have to be a king. I'll always be a prince. It's princes that have all the fun. And that's truer than thy brother knows, Cor, said King Loon. For this is what it means to be a king, to be first in every desperate attack, and last in every desperate retreat. And when there's hunger in the land, as must be now and then in bad years, to wear finer clothes and laugh louder over a scantier meal than any man in your land. When the two boys were going upstairs to bed, Cor again asked Corin if nothing could be done about it. And Corin said, if you say another word about it, I'll knock you down. It would be nice to end the story by saying that after the two brothers never disagreed about anything again, but I'm afraid it would not be true. In reality, they quarreled and fought just about as often as any other two boys would, and all their fights ended, if they didn't begin, with Cor getting knocked down. For though, when they had both grown up and become swordsmen, Cor was the more dangerous man in battle, neither he nor anyone else in the northern countries could ever equal Corin as a boxer. That was how he got his name of Corin Thunderfist, and how he performed his great exploit against the lapsed bear of Stormness, which really was a talking bear, but had gone back to the wild bear habits. Corin climbed up to its lair on the Narnian side of Stormness one winter day when the snow was on the hills, and boxed it without a timekeeper for 33 rounds, and at the end it couldn't see out of its eyes, and became a reformed character. Aravis also had many quarrels, and, I'm afraid, even fights, with Cor, but they always made it up again, so that years later, when they were grown up, they were so used to quarreling and making up again that they got married, so as to go on doing it more conveniently. And after King Loon's death, they made a good king and queen of Archenland, and Ram the Great, the most famous of all the kings of Archenland, was their son. Bree and Hwin lived happily to the great age in Narnia, and both got married, but not to one another. And there weren't many months in which one or both of them didn't come trotting over the pass to visit their friend in Onbard. And that is The Boy and His Horse. Hey, Tank,
Ja,
you ready to do Minecraft?
I uno momento.
Okay.
I'm trying to get another stupidly weird thing again. I risk my luck every time I do this. Oh, we need to like go like now. Okay.
Yeah, I'm loading it right now. Mhm, mhm, mhm.
please.
React
Give me
is
the thing I want. It's another, you know, so yeah, 2.75 was the first one I had, and
okay.
I'm trying to get a 0.25% again. Uh,
Boop.
211 spins, so I may be able to get it.
There we go. Shoot, Amar's here
Where? In your stream?
in Minecraft.
In Minecraft?
I'm in my house.
I'm in my mom's
So
car.
I'm actually, you go to winter.
I go to winter. What am I
Hmm.
go? What? Where?
That is the
That place?
region that they're
Okay.
doing the photo shoot. And considering what they were just saying, I'm thinking it's somewhere around the snow globe. And I am tiny, so this is gonna be the first one with the size changes.
I should make myself giant just to fit.
It'll be hilarious.
Just ask Shoot to make me really big.
Wee! Woo! The sounds be loud. Wee! Bonk.
Tell
Ah!
them to give me a minute. I'm trying to get there as quick as I can. My thing is taking a while for it to load because I haven't played in a long time. I'm also gonna be playing two games at once because I need to get this other thing, and I am determined to get it. It's cursed speech. I need. I need. Skip this one. I need. Just passed over like four different special grades, and none of the four were the ones that I need. Come on, hurry up, please, please
So we
hurry.
have Amar, our friend, right there, and then you have Time Lord.
I'll be there in a minute.
By the way, his skin is David Tennant.
I know. Oh, you're telling your audience. Never mind. Brain fart. You gotta love David Tennant.
Best doctor.
I still love Peter Capaldi. That's just me though. Tell time that I'm almost there. It is just booting up. Wait, I'm almost there. Not yet time.
Okay, apparently there's one without you. One with you.
Oh, fine. I'm so offended that I'm not getting in them.
You do realize they actually did some already.
I know.
I forget who it was,
Why
but there was
is this taking
somebody.
so long?
There was somebody who did the New Year's. I don't remember if it was last year or the year before, in just a speedo, so it looked like he was naked. Naked Woog! God damn it, Woog! Where's Naked Woog? Oh my
What
God,
happened?
Woog!
Oh, jeez, so much loudness. What happened?
Freaking Woog!
My entire computer just froze for a second.
Look at the. Oh my God! Freaking Woog is naked. Why did you give yourself
That
nipples,
sounds
Woog?
like woo. Screw this. Why is this taking 6 years? What's the version again? 1.21?
I don't remember.
You don't remember what the... Can you ask time what the latest version is?
1.21.3.
Okay, good to know. Everything just had an update. Stop! I'm like sitting here panicking, trying to get in. 1.21.3. That's what I want. Quickly game. Take 6 years. Come on. Come on. Ha! Game. Please apologize to all of them. Brother, please. Why are you taking 7 years to load? Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. I'm sitting over here losing it.
Pictures. Yeah, no, they seriously have been doing a bunch of pictures. Hey, beta fish! Beta fish! I'm in two
Oh
of the
my gosh.
pictures.
What are you doing?
Time just made himself tiny.
I saw that.
Mr. Enigma is trying to push. Succeeded in pushing him in the water. Good job.
I want to build all my stuff to accommodate bigger people, like tall. because I would like to be tall, but it's just gonna take 7 years. Come on, open, please, quickly. So happy that you can use the thing for
So
the
yeah,
server.
so this is the new region, and some of them have already finished the builds for the build comp. I think that one's Daketta's.
The Jettas.
Daketta.
The Jetta.
Oh, whatever
Don't
you want to
question
say.
me. Don't
Whatever.
question me. I'm almost there. Come on. There she is.
Get in line.
I'm going.
Ah, no armor.
I'm taking
You
up.
can't be behind me, dude,
Why?
because they can't see my name apparently. Go be near more. Go be near your sister. They block. Wait, what just happened with F1?
It just toggles your thing.
Okay. Mob was inbound. Not all of them disappear. Pictures. You're right, odd. Okay. Woo woo. Look at me, please. Look at time. Time Lord. Time Lord is small like me.
There's a zombie behind me.
No, it's not me! Ah!
I like how it came from me. You die. No, you don't. You have a second row of hearts.
Shh.
The zombie wanted in the picture.
Wait, I was supposed to take my
He's giving me fireworks.
I did not. I didn't take them. Okay. What's this? Ah! Yeah. Hell yeah. I will take these. Hell yeah. I will take all of these. Thank you very much.
Time Lord's so small.
So am I. He's the same height as me.
Yeah, you're small too. I gotta go to Pinkville. I'm gonna
Change your size?
yeah. Oh shoot.
Oh shoot, what?
I'm trying to remember what the thing to go places is. Visit.
Yes, / visit space and location name. But yeah,
I can't
so
remember.
alright, let me go ahead and take a look at chat. Mitsu, her Metsu and Misquits have
Bidge.
buddies. Not.
I have created Bidge. I'm Bidge now.
Okay.
I'm already in Pinkville. I'm an idiot.
Let's see.
Good on Monday.
Copy image. Arcade. Where is it? Minecraft. Eh.
If Amar wants to join, do you, well, you
Tell
want,
her. Of course she can join.
tell her,
She's always willing to
okay.
join. Or welcome. I will never tell her no. Literally, if we had gotten in there, like, earlier, we would have been part of the first pictures. Time
That's
started.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, itch. Feels weird not playing with my mods. My sound also broke for my, like, games. There we go.
Everyone's fucking leaving. So we have Woog. So Rainbow's gone. Next at Cosmos. So Woog and Rainbow. Okay, so I need to go to Mahas and get my special firework um container. I think I have like 2 shulkers of fire. Your normal size now. I think I have 2 shulkers of fireworks. Special
Yeah,
fireworks!
it pains me because I can't be, gonna have to ask somebody to transform me back into a block and a half if I want it again, but I'm just gonna say screw it and become big. Who knows, I may be doing something modeling.
I actually need to get apparently you can also color coordinate your uh bundles. I just found that out because when they redid the server IP address,
Mm-hmm.
they made that a thing. I'm just like, ooh,
Cool.
bundles.
Give me one second, I gotta close the door real quick.
Icky.
There's a person in my family that sucks at closing doors. So by the way, Amara will not be joining us because she is AFKing in her family. Oh, she's at her family's, I
That's
should say.
fair.
That's what I said.
Lack of coal. What the fuck?
Looks like you were naughty for Christmas. Okay, so that's still, nope, does it? No, it doesn't. Okay.
Flight duration 5 mistakes were made.
Only some mistakes.
Oh, it's literally spot rockets.
I know. I bought, 4 shulker boxes of them. There we go. Now I fit the size of my pet. You remember Fido Dillo? Let's see
Okay.
if I can fit down here. Oh, I can. Awesome.
Are you 3 blocks tall now?
Yep.
So your pet is not massive anymore.
Not to me, at least.
Swish, 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 swish.
I was just looking at my, smelter room because I wanted to make sure I could actually, like, still get into it.
Okay. I have 18 stacks of torch flower and pitcher plants.
Jeez.
I've been making them. By the way, me and Amar have been renovating the blacksmith shop. She's turning it into a library, and I've been doing the wood shop.
Oh, the blacksmith shop is going away? How sad.
No, renovated.
Like, yeah, but that still means it's changing, which means it's still pretty much going away.
Well, she's focusing more on a library, so if she wants to do this, she can do that. I was okay with this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, honeycomb.
Whoa, this is a new building.
Which one?
I don't know. Oh, this is the library. I see.
Is it the library or the wood shop?
I don't know. It looks like it's where the
Holy
wood shop,
fuck,
like,
Amar!
that's what I'm saying. It
Oh,
looks like
God, it's huge.
it's not small.
It said 2 stories, Amar. You made it 3.
Did she? I only saw 2 stories. Yeah, it's only 2 stories. It'd be kind of hard to fit a third one up there. Where did the wood shop go? Am I losing my mind, or is that where the wood shop was?
That's where the wood shop was.
Where did the wood shop go?
You're standing in front of it.
This? Oh, I can't. You can you go get me like literally 3 pieces of oak? I can't fit in there. I love the fact that you named it IKEA.
Yeah. Hey, by the way,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't, Lore. I can't fit
I know. What'd you need?
3 pieces of oak.
Oak what?
Planks.
You said 3?
3. 3 pieces of oak plank. Okay.
That's funny.
Hmm.
I trust people every time to like not make massive ass buildings, and every
Every
single
time it doesn't work.
time it becomes significantly bigger than the rest of them, and it's just like, God damn it.
Yep. Mining should be fun in this form. Sometimes I hate my own mind
Why?
because I'm thinking about the house. I want to do something, but I know it's so risky to try and do. My thought, I just had this absolute wild thought that popped into my head. Um, demolish the house and create a cave house, an underground house. So it looks like you're entering through like a tunnel basically.
For your house?
Yeah, for the one here.
That's what you
But
want to do.
it would take so long to get everything moved out of the house.
Uh-huh.
That'd be my only issue.
Not to mention your super smelter in the basement.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing that I was worried about was I'd have to like I'd really have to work on getting that thing set in my head how to do it because if I didn't, I could not rebuild it.
Were there any other things that it said for me to do?
Hmm?
Redeems.
Not that I'm seeing, not yet.
Because it said that there were 4. I went to go click on them to see what they were, and they're gone.
Yeah, it was the touch grass that Miss Quist redeemed, the 5 check I redeemed,
Uh-huh.
the um the other 5 check that I did. He did touch grass, I did touch grass, 5 check, and I did the Steve Peak sun check. So the other 3 I just completed. I mean, I think I could rebuild this. It doesn't seem majorly difficult, but I don't know. I'd probably ask Shuk to like copy it and then move it where I want it. Oh, Tiger of No Ways here.
Hey, Tiger.
I'm gonna really quickly load my mods now since I actually have them again.
Okay, I turned off some of the ones for... that aren't gonna work.
Okay.
Sorry guys, the volume is loud. I don't know why it's this loud.
No clue.
Actually, let me see. Options. Music and sound. It is all significantly, like, it's down.
Increased.
Yeah.
Change the main volume down. That we, if you lower the main volume, you can raise the other volume. Main volume is the biggest difference maker.
Say what?
Do
Oh,
you hear
master
me?
volume. There we go.
Yeah, if you lower the master volume, you can raise everything else to the peaks that you want it to be at specifically. It's easier to go from master volume to others than other way around.
No, the
Metsu
the
said something.
basic noise is fine.
Metsu said something, by the way.
What did he say?
You want me to read it?
Yes.
Oh, finally, generator went poopy.
Finally, generator went poopy.
Yeah, finally, dot generator went poopy. I'm also trying to get my stuff to work, so I'm just glancing over at it.
What generator are you talking about, Metsu?
Let's confuse myself.
It's still loud. Oh, that is much better. Having master volume on 25%. Carrots for days. By the way, if
Sounds like golden
any of
carrots to
y'all
me.
are on here, and you guys need iron or whatever, I have an iron farm that produces incredibly quickly. If I'm not mistaken, if nobody's touched the iron farm, the our section of it's already full. I'm proud of this. My guillotine.
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 Why are you doing this?
Because I can.
You're being purposefully annoying.
I'm always annoying.
You're just extra this time.
Well, yeah.
Public iron farm. I will eventually get it to where these chests down here, which are the public version of it, are full. You should have heard it. Spot was like kind of a little bit miffed that I have a public wool farm now.
Mm.
Like, it's a public wolf farm spot. It's very slow. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. I'm putting the armadillo farm scoot in shulkers.
Shoot,
Scoot.
shoot. I don't know how I keep coming up with these. Don't ask.
Mind is an enigma.
My mind is an enigma.
Yeah, I could start singing cursed,
That's an interesting music switch up. Even I was a little bit surprised.
what is it? I heard recently a new cursed, Christmas song. Was that you?
What was what me? What?
Showing up at the,
No, I'm not even in the game right now. I'm still loading, trying to fix some of my mods. Also, in due time, Happy New Year, says Tiger.
Okay, Happy New Year, Tiger.
But no, I'm not even in the game right now. Who was it?
I don't know. I heard somebody teleport in and then Amar left, so I'm thinking she was just getting back to Shaddai, and then
Maybe.
poof.
And
Woog added his group shot pictures.
I didn't get any, unfortunately. There we go. There I am, finally. Woog literally, yeah, that's amazing. That's hilarious. Woog
Okay,
actually has something for that.
apparently my, in Woog's, the size change thing didn't work.
I'm seeing that. Not all people's things work with the side change. I don't know why. Oh.
走れソリよ風のように
I don't even know who did it.
Misquits.
Okay, Miss Quits. Enjoy it while you can.
Tiger also requested vibe check.
Also requested what?
Vibe check.
Okay.
Bibith checketh. My dog is going insane outside. Shader. But which mod is it? Not what it's telling me.
Alright, guys. Server is about to reset. So I'm going to get back to my house, log out, and I will see you guys tomorrow when me and Sag will effectively do technically a double stream where he's going to be reading The Adventures of Tom Bombadil and I will
Yay.
be reading was it? I think it's Prince Caspian is the next one.
Yay.
And funnily enough, I've actually titled it for Sagrals. Do you know who Tom Bombadil is? And for mine,
Me? Oh,
no, that's like the title of Sagrals. I was like, do you know
that's the
who Tom?
title. Okay, gotcha,
Uh-huh.
gotcha.
Do you know who Tom Bombadil is? And for for mine, it's Tom
It's
versus
that?
Aslan. Narnia time. So effectively, Tom Bombadil was there at the beginning. He did not create
Yeah.
the world of the Shire or anything like that, but he was there before it existed. He is a
Early
delightfully
world.
chaotic character. And whereas Aslan is more of a god that walks among his people, for he created Narnia. He breathed. Uh, he, he effectively did the "Let there be light," and he did this in The Magician's Nephew. He created everything because like there was only black nothingness, and yeah, they were walking on something, but they couldn't tell what it was, and he breathed life into it. Like the sun started right, like it got brighter and that, and then all of a sudden there was a sun, and grass and started erupting out. And during the creation phase, the witch had thrown a piece of the lamppost. She chucked it, and it landed on the earth and acted as if it was a seed. So the lamppost grew. That's how you get the lamppost in Narnia. And so in the creation phase, effectively anything would grow. But yeah, so yeah, so is it actually Prince Caspian? It is. So tomorrow I will be starting Prince Caspian and Sagar will be starting the tales of Tom Bombadil. If he goes incredibly fast, I apologize, but he has pretty bad
Well, yell at him to
ADHD.
slow down
Go for it. He won't.
then.
No. His ADHD makes his brain go so fast that it's effectively excruciatingly slow. Like, say, Tank, we're having a normal conversation. Like, with me reading about this speed and that, it sounds about this slow to him,
I know.
which is why
It's that
he
slow to me.
goes faster. Because he was the one that got me to slow down. And then he goes really kind of like this and starts reading really fast. I'm like, sweetheart, you need to slow down so people can actually understand what's being read. You had me slow down, which made sense. Like, they legit made sense. But in order for people to appreciate and understand the stories, you gotta go a little slower. And
It's not a diss on anybody in the stream. That is just so that other people can understand it. Everyone
well,
can
it's
understand it
it's it's
then.
a thing of the you need to go a little bit slower so that because it's one thing to sit there and have a conversation and stuff, but when somebody's reading to you, they're describing the area, so you need time to fully visualize it in your head. Or at least I do. I'm not going to talk about like some other people probably can do it quicker, but when you're being described a scene of this is where you have this and this is it's a feast that's happening and you have this food and this food and this food and it smells like this and it just when you're saying it at about that speed, it's you have the time to process everything and see it as a and see it in your mind quite clearly too. But if you're speaking like this, it just goes too fast and just kind of like your brain sometimes will be like, nope.
My friend just sent me a GIF of some dude that sings K-pop cuddling with a chicken. I'm not joking.
That's not random at all.
It's completely out of nowhere.
Again, not random at all.
She's strange. That's all I know.
But let's see if there's anyone to raid. Alright, so we have vibe check
Jaja, jaja.
and Paradu complete.
Patatu, patatu, pata pata patatu.
Lumi. Let's go ahead and raid Lumi.
Lumi?
Yeah, Lumi's streaming.
Okay. No, it just opened.
So thank you guys for showing up and for listening to everything and being here. I greatly appreciate it, and hopefully I will see you guys all tomorrow. I'll be going back to my normal stuff, and Padadu will no longer be available. So see you guys later. Bye bye.
Did you know that with raids now you actually get points